Hello and welcome to episode 102 of the Talk Nintendo podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Casey Gibson, and joining me this fine evening, the one, the only, Mr. Perry Burkham.
Well, hello, Casey. I played 35 hours of Dead Cells this last week.
You monster.
Yep, but that just goes to show how much I love that game. I almost beat it.
You know who's probably played 35 games this week?
I do, and you're not even exaggerating.
Yep, that's right. Old Man Justin Nation.
Yeah, here again. Don't know what I'm doing, but it's time to talk Nindie, so.
That's right. If Justin's here, it's time to talk Nindies, and that's
You're
how
an
it is.
animal.
We don't talk first party or third party. It's just Nindies. No, just kidding. You play a lot of games.
What are first party games?
That's a good question. it's you're right. That's all gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, what do we got on the docket, Justin? Let's just get going with this. Let's talk about some games.
Yeah, I figure we're going to go into quick bites.
Quick bites.
Yes, quick bites.
And since I've got quite a load of stuff, you know, I can't just play 1 or 2 or 5 or maybe even 10 games at a time. Figured to keep this to keep this portion truly as quick as possible. I made a challenge to try to keep it to 5 words, and then if anybody had any follow-up or questions, I could answer. But starting with keeping it, try to keep it brief. So the
Good,
first game,
yes.
The first game that I played and I had already reviewed, it's called Earthworms, and that one I said X-Files weirdness meets subpar adventure.
Wonderful. So this is like a point-and-click adventure game, right?
Yeah, roughly, and it's got the art style's not bad. It's creepy, but it's just not very good. Kind of dull, and it's one I think they're trying to compensate with that weirdness. But if you're really into weirdness, maybe it'll compel you. But yeah, it's not a very good adventure game.
And it's hard because you need to be a good adventure game to keep my interest, because I'm not huge on adventure games, but
Well, and there's just a lot of them on Switch, so it makes it even more painful.
I know, exactly. So, well, what else we got?
Next, also already out, it's called Spectrum. I said a decent minimalist platformer, but forgettable.
Right.
There's kind of a lot of these, and it is different from them visually. It's kind of minimalist, and it does look nice. It's moderately challenging, but it's just it's one of those that you'll play it, finish it, and then a week from now, it's going to be a distant memory. It was okay, but nothing great.
Right. Casey, what do you think of this?
But it's a good Sonic game, I think.
But it's a good Sonic game. What in the world are you talking about? It's not a Sonic game. But,
Get off the pipe. Yeah.
Yeah. What is going on over there? What are you doing, South Carolina? Anyway, so Spectrum, minimalist platformer. There can't be a lot of those, right? Wrong. There's a lot of those. So, again, good for them and everything. And I have nothing, like you said, not a bad game, right?
No.
It's perfectly fine. But
yeah,
it's
I think you got a
nothing
7.
special.
I think you got a 7.5. Or probably just a 7. But yeah.
There you go.
All
right.
Then on to another adventure. There are a lot of them. This one's called Detective Gallo. This one I said noir detective juxtaposed with silliness.
All right. I love using the word juxtaposed.
Well, and I love noir. I like the hard-boiled, old-school detective kind of thing.
Oh yeah, see.
And he's sort of got that gruff thing going, but he's sort of surrounded by idiots or weird people. So you get some entertaining dialogue. It's
and it's just like comic booky,
Yeah, the art's actually really nice. It's got a great visual style, and it runs smoothly, and the puzzles for being an adventure relatively straightforward. Not too wacky, but yeah, you're really it's like a LucasArts game in a sense that you're really playing it for the interactions and the dialogue, and it's just it being silly. And him being sort of a straight man, it does make it a little different, a little bit more fun.
Yeah, that's great. I love the when there's like you said, the good juxtaposition is perfect. So, yeah. Now I know this is probably one of your top 5 games on Switch so far. Oh, yes. Right? If I'm thinking correctly.
Yeah, Fall of Light Darkest Edition. It's the darkest edition. So, that must mean it's good.
They just dimmed it a little, like in the brightness settings.
Yeah. And perhaps it being even darker to the point of not seeing it would have helped, because for the 5 words, I went with muddy controls devoid of fun.
Wow.
I think sort of, I don't know if they started out thinking they were going to go for the, Souls-like kind of description. It feels like they could have tacked it on sort of after the fact to sort of justify it is hard, but not hard in a fun way or an engaging way, because the controls are kind of slow and kind of clumsy.
And what kind of game is this again? Like
it's sort of like a slow-paced action RPG, top down, or maybe a sort of the skewed perspective top down type thing, but sort of like I said, sort of action RPG, but it's like I said, I think they tacked on the Souls thing to sort of say, oh, it's hard. Yeah, it is hard. But Dead Cells is hard. The Messenger is hard, but those are fun and engaging. Yeah, this is just punishing for it's punishing for all the wrong reasons, and it's dull. You can really get taken out by low-level folks just because attacking sort of clumsy, changing weapons really doesn't do anything of note. It's just, it's. I try not to be too rough on.
Did you do the review?
I haven't posted it yet, but it's on the lower end of the bell curve, I would say.
Gotcha.
It's not good.
Gotcha. Do you do 0.5s?
Yeah.
Or do you just...
Okay. I'll go to 0.5.
Gotcha. I think at Nintendo World Report, we should we should go to like the second decimal. Like, I think it should be like 9.72.
Oh, jeez.
That way, and then we can really mathematically do it. So I think that'll be great. But now this next game, the Video Kid. Actually, this game has been brought to my attention before, and I saw it, and it looks kind of fun, like a fun little arcadey, apparently like Paperboy type game.
Yeah, and it does have that feel. I ended up saying mobile feel, 80s Paperboy ripoff, and rather than being a Paperboy clone, which would be at least a little bit more complimentary, I love Paperboy. I played it in the arcade a ton. It was always a hard game. I don't think I'd ever play it for more than a couple of minutes at a time. But it had objectives, and you could take sort of you could get knocked down, and you'd still continue playing on the same quarter kind of thing. When I say mobile feel for the Video Kid, it's really just you got one shot. If you run in and you're on a skateboard, instead of throwing papers, you're throwing video cassettes. But it's tough in a kind of bummer kind of way, that if you hit a cone on the ground, that's going to knock you down, and it's going to be over.
Okay.
And then
just like in real life.
Well, no, I think you could probably take the cone better than. I mean, these are like tiny little cones.
Oh, really?
I mean, so it's it's equivalent. Hitting the cone is the same as running into a car. So it's just it's kind of weird.
That's brutal.
I remember I was a Paperboy once, and I remember it was a winter day, but like there was no snow. But I went on my bike, and I was riding right down the street, and went onto the sidewalk, and it was just a sheet of ice, and I just fell like right in front of like tons of oncoming traffic. I mean, not in front of them, but like by them. So there's just I know there's like 15 cars that just totally saw it, and it was super embarrassing, and it hurt so much. So I feel the pain, but I couldn't see the ice like a road cone.
But they try to compensate. They've got 80s stuff in it, a lot of references. So if you like, endless 80s references, that's nice. But it's kind of gimmicky. I've gotten sort of numb to a lot of games that have done that, and that seems to be sort of a hook to compensate for the game not necessarily being as good. To go, oh, it's the Care Bears. Oh, it's the California Raisins. Oh,
Right.
that's the Murtaugh and Riggs came running by, and it's neat
Right.
the first time you see it, but then you see it every game. I do like when you get a little deeper, you get to see the light cycles from Tron. So that's a personal thumbs up for me. But yeah, it's just okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and
Now, I gotta ask Casey. Casey, would you want to play this game?
I'd rather go to work.
damn man, that's
Okay.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's actually pretty rough. It doesn't sound like it's that bad from Justin's point of view, but okay.
Casey in a
thank
bad
you.
mood. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Comparing stuff to Sonic and. All right. Anyway, yeah. Did you have anything more on that game?
No. That's about it. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, speaking of Sonic, though, this
Yeah.
next game
Yeah.
is actually supposed to be like a Sonic game, which it's Freedom Planet, which I have played.
Yeah, this one I said Sonic feel, but more likable, because I'm not a big Sonic fan. But this one, it has sort of those running kind of sections, and it definitely has very clear inspirations for some of the elements from Sonic. But it feels like there's more adventure-y kind of things to do. And it's very reminiscent of Sonic kind of bosses and stuff. So I think it's got all the things that Sonic did pretty well. But it's not so much dashing around and feeling like half the game's just blurring by and I'm not supposed to really pay attention to it, which is always sort of what I dislike about Sonic.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Like with Sonic, I don't mind the characters. I just like the gameplay. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just like I love the concept on paper. He's really fast. That's awesome. But then like exploration is just out the window then, and you feel like you're missing everything. And so, are you saying that it's still prevalent in this game?
There's elements of it in sections, but it's sort of like you have a section where you'll do that and collect some coins or whatever, but then you go do normal kind of platformy stuff.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I don't know. I like it. It's pretty neat. It's
Cool.
pretty nice.
And it looks real. I mean, like the quality of the because it's pixel art, if I remember right. So
Yeah,
the quality is really, really nice.
Yeah.
It has its own style, and it's very similar. Like you kind of have to like that style, But I mean, even when pixel art, like if you're not really big on the aesthetic, if it's well done, it still looks really nice. That's what I love. It's kind of still like a timeless type thing. So, but Casey, what do you think of this game?
It's an action RPG, right?
No. Why would you think that?
Nostalgic bits.
Nostalgic bits? What are you smoking?
He's a man of few words tonight.
Yep, he is. Now, this next game looks like it was made like with an inspiration from Casey.
It looks a little more involved than the Paperboy, at least just based off the couple screens I'm looking at.
Sure, I guess.
And that's Siggy, a fart for Malusia.
I was going to say, the name is as long as his description of the game, so...
Yes.
I can't believe I just said that.
It's a highbrow title.
Right.
The five words I had: light, silly, platforming, cheap bosses. It's even by their own description. If you look it up on the eShop, they'll say that if you were a hardcore speedrunner or big platformer, you could probably finish the game in a half hour, and
Right.
if you're normal kind of player, you probably finish it in a little over an hour. And that's probably true. I don't think you'd finish it the first time through. You would probably get to the last boss or close to it.
Smashing, yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I don't think it's really hard to get to the last boss. But the last boss, you really need to stack up your extra lives to sort of grind through them. And that's like the normal platforming stuff. There's some hidden elements, and it is cute and it's pretty fun, and it's light. but all the bosses, they're a little bit on the cheap side. When you go up against them, sort of the deficiencies in the control, like jumping and moving laterally is a little trickier than it should be.
But art's actually kind of cool. I mean, it's pixely and it kind of has like the
it has a cute.
It has that the Ghosts and Goblins or whatever, like the Super Ghouls and Ghosts type. Kind of.
Yeah, that definitely has a vibe of that.
I didn't even read that.
It's not nearly as good, but yeah, there's definitely that.
Are you a Super Ghouls and Ghosts fan?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to
Coke or Pepsi?
Was it
Battle Princess Madeline?
Coke or Pepsi?
Yeah.
Like
Casey, would you stop with the Coke or Pepsi? We get it. Okay, yes.
That game looks sweet.
That's disappointing.
I played the beta of that on PC, and it's definitely very rip-offy. Like almost too much Ghouls and Ghosts like.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So it doesn't
I think they're
feel...
getting away from it. I think that was sort of get the Kickstarter and to pull in all those people with nostalgic feels. I think that was the goal of that particular piece.
Interesting. So the controls like feel the same even?
Yeah, a lot of it felt a lot of it felt very reminiscent. I mean, there's a difference between it being a lot like something and almost feeling like you're playing it again. And that is a nice feeling to a degree, but it was sort of like, I really hope they're gonna, for the full game, and I'm positive they will. I'm hoping they'll differentiate themselves more.
Gotcha.
Because it had a few different elements, but yeah, it was like, wow, this really feels like they're playing, coming from that same playbook a little bit much. But yeah, like I said, I don't doubt that was to get the Kickstarter to get people hooked in and excited, which is not a bad idea.
Right, absolutely. And it's funny because right around that time when that Kickstarter, the game that Cursed Castilla, and I think it's a different name, like Maltida on PC, something like that. But anyway, have you played that game?
No, not that one.
Oh my goodness. And it's coming to Switch, I'm sure. And it's really cool on 3DS because it has the 3D. But it's very in the same vein. And then come to find out, like a few months ago, they said that the character from Cursed Castilla is going to be in Battle Princess Madeline.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so really cool. Anyway,
love those indie crossovers.
Oh, me too. But anyway, back to Siggy, A Fart for Melusia. Not bad game, right? It's just
it's kind of like like an appetizer. Or you get it. It's cheap. It's a budget title. You get it. You enjoy it for a little while, and then you're done.
Right.
He eats a lot of greasy foods. He farts.
Yeah. It's funny. Now, also, what we have De Blob 2, which it kind of just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's out now, and you've been playing it a little, and you're a fan of the original.
Yeah. I'd missed it on the initial pass. I got it to review on Switch and hadn't played it, and I was actually really pleasant. I'd heard good things, but I was really pleasantly surprised by it. And the second one, the 5-word thing I had was even more quality platforming fun. I've not gotten far enough that it feels like it's differentiated itself a great deal from the first one.
Okay.
Not that really bothers me because I really enjoyed the feel of the first one.
Okay.
It's I'd say it's obvious that there's a provision for there being a co-op in it. Because there's a different character, so I imagine that'll play into it. Because I'm only through the first full world. I 100%ed it because it is a completionist nightmare that game. Because I would finish it and I'd have like 95% of one of the categories, and it'd be like, duh. So this one, the first hour, I was like, okay, I'm absolutely getting 100% on everything. I'm not coming back. I haven't really, I'm sure as they get into the next level or two, this new character that can be involved in co-op mode will probably come more into play. But yeah, it's like the first, same polished stuff. It runs really well. It's very colorful. Yeah, I think it's sort of laid back fun. It's not so hard that you can't just sit there and sort of chill out and play. I like sometimes it's not, I've been playing a lot of Messenger and stuff like that, so it's nice to play something that isn't terribly taxing and you can just sort of chill out and enjoy
super hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say if you're looking for that budget game, you can't go wrong with Miles and Kilo, man. What a great little game.
Well, thanks for that, Casey. I don't know where that came from, but you're right.
Or WarioWare.
What?
Yeah, like me with Dead Cells.
Yeah.
That's not how... I'm just so... Oh, dude. I got to the point where I... where, like, I don't have any more scrolls or blueprints, I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like you just got to save them and cash them in when you beat the bosses. But, like, I'll be trying to do that, and then I'll just die. You just die randomly. And I lose. Like I just did one where I lost over 100 cells.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it was so fast and so quick, and it's just like, oh, and it just kills you. It just kills me. But anyway, yeah. So DeBob 2, it sounds nice, fun, and easy. I mean, not easy going. Just relaxing.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, what about this Western 1849 Reloaded?
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of it until a few days ago when I reached out. It's the 5 words I had is arcade light gunner with progression. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of the old arcade Mad Dog McCree.
Okay, yeah.
It's not it's a animated style. So like visually, I'd say it looks sort of like a 3D Sunset Riders kind of with the color scheme and look of it.
So is it like Fire Emblem Light?
Casey, he just said it's a light gun game.
But it's like an old light gun game.
Sort of in that vein. I mean, I guess maybe they're... that's disappointing.
You can use cover, though, and you can move between different cover. And it uses the... it doesn't use the Pro Controller, which is kind of a bummer. I always dislike it when I can't use my Pro Controller. But it wants you to use the pointer.
Sucks.
It wants you to use the pointing controls.
Oh, really? So it really is.
Which are okay, and this is not... I don't think this is a deficiency of the game. I think this is... because I was talking to somebody, one of the NWR staffers, about the game, and they were saying,
calibrate it a lot.
They were saying I'd love to see more light gun games for Switch, and I would too. Except before they do that, I think this is it's not. You can't say it's hardware. They can't fix the hardware particularly, but at least the API that's sitting on top of the hardware as the interface for these games, for these pointer controls. All games that have pointer controls have the exact same problem with they will slowly begin to sort of it'll start to wander, and it forces you to recalibrate regularly, and it gets very annoying.
It does. I remember that with the bridge building game.
The bridge one, yep. Polybridge.
Not even Polybridge, which is funny. I'm talking the World of Goo.
Oh, World of Goo.
Which I reviewed back when the Switch came out. But yeah, it was the same thing. It's just like it works, like it feels good, but it just constantly drifts, and you got to recalibrate, and it just that's
because you're flexing, baby.
Well, and before you recalibrate, you figure out that you're like, you end up being like contorted.
Exactly.
Trying to,
it's super uncomfortable.
Yeah. They just. I don't know. I'm sure it's difficult to do a lot about it.
Yeah.
Because it's using just the internal motion stuff instead of having something like, the light sensor.
Well, amazingly, I mean, think about that. Did you know that the Wii U gamepad had a sensor bar in the gamepad, and that you could play the Wii games alone on that thing and point at it, and it's just like. I wonder why they didn't just kind of, for backup, just maybe because they think it's too convoluted then, right? But I mean, like, it'd be nice if you could just plug in a pointer to the Switch dock, a sensor bar, and then, have that on the right Joy-Con, the sensor thing, if that could read it, or I don't know, something. I wish they would have made something, because I think the pointer controls are really cool, but, in the thick of things, are they really needing... Is this a big on their priority? Probably not. They might be.
Well, sorry.
I was just gonna say they might be like with Pikmin and like maybe porting Skyward Sword. They might have wished something, but even then, those didn't use the sensor bar. I don't think either. So, or maybe they did minimally.
Well, it looks like you can play using the right joystick using handheld mode. So I'm going to try that out and see if that helps a little bit. I mean, because it works well enough. I got through, sort of the rookie level, and where I'd said progression, you collect gold, and you get bounties for doing certain achievements, which also give you gold, and then you can improve the power of your gun, get more health. I mean, so
right.
There's an element of, as you accumulate stuff, you can get better, and you can tweak sort of your skills, or get more of a certain stat, or you can get more dynamite, which you can use to sort of bail yourself out. So, and then between each round, you'll get to pick between 3 different sort of random perks, which makes it interesting. Like you don't have to reload, or you gain back, I think, like 2 hit points for everybody you kill. So you get to choose between 3 different perks. So I mean, it keeps it interesting. There aren't a lot of stages to it. It looks like between the skill levels, you repeat the same stages from the previous one, and then it adds on the first one was only 6 stages, the second was 9. So I imagine they'll just sort of keep tacking on a new kind of stage, or maybe they'll start over again and it'll just be harder. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a terribly complicated game, but it certainly, there's nothing really like it on Switch, so that makes it interesting.
Good. Cool. Well, sounds awesome. I know that we have some people interested in that, so that's really cool.
All right. Now we are proof. It's getting windy and it's dark and scary here, so if the thunderstorm comes, it's okay because I'm recording on my laptop.
Ooh-wee.
Yep.
Don't say that, though, because it'll probably screw up anyway. But
yeah, I know. I forgot to hit record.
Yeah, son of a diddly.
There's a good chance that people have been listening to me stuttering the last hour, and I'll try to fix that, but I'm sorry. I'm not going to. Yeah, we'll see. Might just cut everything out that I had. But, like, try to add to the conversation. Yeah, I just talked about Morphy's Law.
He was hardly part of the conversation.
I'll just edit in what Justin said about Morphy's Law, and then I'll just say right here, okay. All right, Justin. So the good stuff. What do we got? So, and I have some other bits on some of this stuff too.
Okay.
Pervert.
Yeah. The first, the big one for this week is the Messenger.
Woo! Yeah, this game's amazing. Talked about it last week. Old news, Justin.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Get with the program.
No, just kidding. No, yeah, let's talk about it. So, our review is on Nintendo World Report. Neil gave it a 10. Yours on Nindie Spotlight's up. You gave it a 9.5. This is a really good game. This is a dare I say a neo retro classic.
Yeah,
I would say
it's just, there's something about it. I mean, when you see the video of it, and they gave away sort of they revealed themselves, sort of the big cool factor with the switch from the 8-bit to the 16-bit look. So that's not necessarily a surprise, but it is surprising sort of how far into the game it takes before you hit that 16-bit wall, and then how much further you need to get until you unlock what everybody's saying is the more Metroidvania style of it. It's absolutely a straight up old school platformer up until that point, and that's hours and hours in.
Yeah, I mean, like, my playtime said like 6 hours. Is that right? I mean,
yeah, that feels about right.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like that.
So
that
it's
is,
almost like
that's longer than Shovel Knight.
Games.
Yeah, it is. I would definitely. I would have been. If it was cheap enough, I actually would have been satisfied with the game at the point that the 8-bit piece ended.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing.
By the time you finish the 16-bit, you feel like you've beaten the game, and then it's just like, what?
JK.
Yeah, it's just the game keeps going, and what's amazing is the level design. I know you had the issues with some of the early levels not necessarily feeling very great.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things that I appreciated the level design in certain sections, and it seemed to work well as you go through sort of the linear part. And then when you get to the Metroidvania part, you know, the big picture of the level design really is fully revealed, where no, really, you know, these are all levels. You're going to go back through all those same levels, but there's two versions of those levels depending on, you know, whether you're in the 16-bit or the 18 or the 8-bit side.
Man, that is so interesting.
And you know, it was tough to get through some of those going forwards, but man, some of the 16-bit sections where you have to backtrack, you really have to work. I mean, there's some really tough sections.
I mean, so I've only made it. I basically just unlocked that new mode, and I basically kind of just got the map and stuff. I mean, but I that's really it. So I haven't got a chance to play through the second mode really a lot. So I'm really excited to. But I mean, the first mode's hard. Would you say the second mode's harder?
Yeah, it's
okay.
It gets tougher, and it tempts you to try different things, because what ends up happening is you find the rifts are you know, positioned in different spots, and it ends up being, I mean, you know, the Metroidvania-esque part of it, or the map part. You know, you really end up having to sit there and say, okay, there's a rift here. You know, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? And usually it's because, you know, in the 8-bit side or 16-bit side, there's a space where, you know, there's a pathway that's blocked. So what you end up having to do is backtrack to a rift, you know, to go through it. So you're coming through the other way, so you can get back to this spot where now, you know, there will be a way you can go through. And there's different variations on that. But yeah, it's just some tough sections. I hit one in particular that felt a bit cheap. There was there ended up being these fireflies, sort of, that versus it being a rift that you go through and, you know, it's permanently changing it. The fireflies, basically the area that they illuminate, sort of give a glimpse to the other side. And there was like this one section where there were some spikes on the wall in the normal section, but, you know, the part that it would illuminate, there weren't any spikes. And, you know, so you're supposed to sort of stay with the firefly to get through. I had a lot of trouble. I knew exactly what I needed to do. You know, I had sort of all the pieces, but I had a hell of a time not sort of bumping into the spikes. And if you bump into the spikes, that throws you into the, you know, the hit animation that you've got, which stuns you, which is a pain in the ass in a situation like that. So, you know, that part, that specific part kind of sucked. But as a whole, you know, there's just, they take all these cool ideas they sort of set the groundwork for in the first part of the game, and they explore it even further. And yeah, you really need to use pretty much all of your core skills. Yeah, you're going to use that grapple a lot, and you have to use it under pressure. Is what makes it sort of crazy, because, you know, you've got to, you know, move from this platform to throw the grapple to get to this other one, and then you have to get on top of it before it goes to the top because it'll crush you. So you end up having to, you know, get some of these heavy execution things, and that shows up a lot at the end of the it's the end of the 8-bit is when you're in the time tower. That section is tough. Like, there's some, you know, like, they remove almost all the enemies, and it's just purely you executing precision platforming, and it is some tough stuff. Now, the great thing is, in the old days, there wouldn't have been any checkpoints, and you would have had to be the sorry bastard to, like, go through that entire sequence, then face the boss, get your ass handed to you, and start right back at the beginning again. So, you know, the checkpoints really do make all the difference. And but, you know, even so, yeah, you're going to be cursing some of those sections. You're going to be cursing trying to get through them, because it's just a tough game. And that's, yeah, it is. That's really why I gave it the 9.5. Like, I think it's a 10. Like, I do think it's a really great game, but for me, I always take into account, you know, at a mainstream level. Yeah, and to explain the difference between Dead Cells, where, you know, also a brutal game, versus, you know, and that I considered a 10 versus The Messenger at 9.5. I think the crucial difference is Dead Cells, though it's really tough, you know, it throws you that bone of randomness. So you can have a really good run, you can have better power-ups, and you're going to get bad ones too, and you're going to die.
Level 5 lightning.
Yeah, so you can get these things that you're going to get a little further and be a little bit more boosted, even if you really are struggling with the game as a whole. But The Messenger, there is only getting through this section, or beating this boss. And if you are stuck and you can't get by him, there is nothing that's going to make it easier. It is just what it is, and if you can't get by it, you're done. So, if you're not really a hardcore platforming kind of person, it's a tough game, and I'd even say it's tougher than Super Meat Boy, another notoriously tough game. But Super Meat Boy, you only had to get past the one screen. Even though the checkpoints in the Messenger are mostly abundant, they're pretty fair. It isn't quite as easy as if you get to the end of the screen, you're good.
Yeah, you're safe.
Yeah. You're gonna go 3-4 screens on a lot of these suckers, and in certain sections, that is a tough. You've just got to execute a lot of stuff. It's a tough road.
I do want to say, from what I've played so far, a lot of it seemed really tough for me, but then I would be forgetting about like a crucial element of gameplay that I'm like not doing, and then I'd kind of do that. It's like, oh, okay, like this is way easier,
Wait, I can jump.
Well, yeah, you have to remember that. Yeah, you have to use the glide. You have to use the grapple. You have to blend those things together, sometimes in succession. If you're not,
so it is tough. I mean, I think this game really relates to Shovel Knight a lot, and I think Shovel Knight's really hard too. But this game, but I wouldn't say it's impossible.
No, not impossible.
Yeah, fair but tough.
I think it's I think that the controls can feel a little finicky. Kind of hard to get used to, which I say the same thing about Shovel Knight. Exactly the same. Like, like some of your attacks.
Yeah, the glide slash down. It's inconsistent.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Exactly. And then also just the main cloud stepping, that where you hit a thing and jump can feel kind of weird sometimes. Like it doesn't feel super solid all the time.
It's not. Yeah, I'll get inconsistent results with it. Yeah.
Yes. So, and that might be me. That might be the game. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's the game. It just seems like it. It's just kind of the mechanic there is just kind of loose. But it's still great. It feels really good. It looks. I mean, it looks really good. Like, and it's satisfying when to take out enemies and stuff.
And the shout out thing that was the unexpected part is I didn't understand how awesome the shopkeeper would be. The shopkeeper absolutely makes the I was more motivated to get to the next story that the shopkeeper might tell. Yes, his stories were just and they weren't even always funny. It's just there was just something about it. It was like, yes, I want to know the next story. Like,
I know,
awesome.
You're right. You are so right. And I know that I teased it last week, and I still don't want to spoil it. But did you get to that one part Did you unlock the really crazy part with him? Like, because I think you can just skip over it.
Oh,
but
I did.
You'll have to talk after.
I did everything involving dialogue with him, so I probably hit what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, okay, but this is something like that you could just kind of leave. You had to go initiate it through different means. But anyway,
okay.
I'll talk to you after.
Okay.
But I really don't want to spoil it because it's amazing. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, you're right. The shopkeeper, like, seriously, genuinely fantastic writing. Like some of the best writing I've ever seen in a game where it's funny.
Well, and it's for a shopkeeper. It's for something that doesn't need any attention. He could just be there to sell you stuff, and yet they made so much out of that normally completely benign thing that was really cool.
And they totally they break the fourth wall and they do all that fun jazz stuff, and I think they do it in a good way. So
especially
also,
when you think about how good the game is, it's like if that was just like a guy who sold, like you said, just sold you something, no one would think worse of anything,
Right. And also, not just the shopkeeper, but Quarble or whatever. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like there's some parts that I like in the story that I genuinely laughed out loud. And it was like the script is so funny. So yeah, fun characters, fun game. I really, really enjoyed this game, and it's crazy. It's weird to have you'll have spurts of like where there's just not like a lot of really good stuff, and like there's like one cool thing, but then like having like the Messenger and like Dead Cells and Hero Blaster and like all these really cool games coming out at once, it's kind of overwhelming, but it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I'll take that, I guess, over the Wii U days.
Yeah. We're going to discuss our one game this week.
Yeah, exactly. I actually went back and played games that I had played before. It's crazy. But, yeah, so what else? We should probably get through these a little faster. But, yeah, Messenger's great.
Yeah. The next one I had was Blade Strangers. Also out this week by Nicholas. Indie fighting game, including some indie fighting or indie darlings, sort of Isaac from Binding of Isaac, Shovel Knight, a quote from Cave Story, and then Gunvolt are all characters in this. And for it being sort of the first, I can't remember the name of the studio. Nicholas is the distributor. It's the ones that made Code of Princess EX.
Studio Saizensen?
Yeah. For it being their first, I really do think, it's their first fighting game. They must have brought in some ringers, because it doesn't feel like a first fighting game. It really feels like a polished, pretty quality fighter. Especially, the $40 price range feels very appropriate. I got only a limited amount of online play in with it because it's a press copy, but it felt slightly slower than playing locally, but it was still manageable. But it's one of those games where the fighting system, the moves are relatively easy to pick up. I consider myself a old school fighting game person. I used to play the hell out of Street Fighter. And Mortal Kombat and stuff, and my interest sort of waned as a whole on fighting, but I still go back and pick stuff up, and I'm always curious to see how easy it is to sort of pick the game up and get to the point where you can feel like you're playing it at least competently. And this was one that it really didn't feel hard to play competently at all. It's not crazy like Street Fighter.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's not like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat where you feel like you have to, study all these different very intricate moves and stuff to get going. Everything across all the characters is relatively the same, though certainly comboing and different combinations of stuff you'll definitely want to experiment. But in general, to execute their moves, it's the same across the board. So that makes it very friendly, and yet you've still got things like counters, and there's a gauge. You have supers, and so all these things that sort of have become what you sort of expect with a modern fighting game. Pretty much all of it's there. But then the surprise, what tripped me up the most was that something like Isaac from Binding of Isaac, that he's really short. So I was curious how well he would play, or whether he'd feel sort of like a sore thumb
cheap or something.
Out. But Isaac played really well, and everything seemed to sort of integrate with it. Like, it has a weird graphical style, and I think it's the same thing they did with Code of Princess EX, where I think these are all 3D rendered models that then they created the sprites from. So everything has a very
Dead Cells.
Everything has a very consistent, polished look, but it looks like anime. The only thing that sort of could be a bummer for some people is there are sort of dark edges around everything. So they're not so noticeable on some characters and some stages, but if you want to get really picky, they're there. But everything looks really good. The super's all really visually impressive. But the thing that's fun to me, that in story mode in particular, playing as Solange, she's the main character for anybody who is listening who doesn't know, she's the main character from Code of Princess. She's very well endowed, and to make things worse, her armor is preposterous. You know, it wouldn't hold up anything, and yet it's somehow these you know, two little pieces of metal that only cover really a minimal amount of anything on her chest, you know, are somehow like somehow our armor works. It wouldn't, not so much as I won't even offer whether it is offering a protection, but just, you know, how it even stays in place. Yeah, there are questions. But what's fun about it is her story mode was in particular really funny because almost all the characters are reacting to her specifically, you know, giving her a hard time, or you know, the one character who's a cop, I forgot her name, but she was saying she was going to bring her in for indecent exposure, you know, like just it was funny.
Yeah, playing around with
it was funny how aware they were of how ridiculous, you know, she is as a character and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's funny.
So that was at least a nice bonus that, you know, wasn't expected, because most of the time, you know, the attract messages are always, you know, cheesy and generic and stuff. The fact that they took the time, you know, to actually have these be interactions, you know, all the different characters have different things they're obsessed about, or things that, you know, the reasons that they're in this tournament. So that does sort of give it an added boost of polish and of at least care on the part of the developer to sort of make it more fun. But yeah, it's I think I gave it an 8.5. It's a really good game. It's definitely going to have to be tested for how deep it is for people who are much more serious about fighting games than I am. But it seems very accessible to people who just enjoy a fighting game, you know, casually. Very accessible. Not quite, you know, not at the same level as Smash, but yeah, I was really surprised.
Yeah,
it looks visually nice.
What's the name? Like what?
Blade Strangers.
What is that?
Well, I think that's not to say too much about the story, but, you know, they get brought in for, you know, they're going to fight. You know, there's these little robot dudes that talk to each other. They're really weird. They really look like little tower computers, but they're sentient and talking to each other. But they're trying to assemble these people to fight, you know, a threat that's coming. And so, you know, the people they're assembling are these Blade Strangers, you know, people that are going to fight for them type of. That's the nature of the name of the game. So these assembled people who are going to fight for them type of thing. But they're going to let them weed each other out to get a champion, and that champion,
they want the top Blade Stranger.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like, nice 2D fighting game. Like you said, it's nice to have sort of a casual, maybe a more casual, at least barrier to entry with a game like this. And
certainly deeper than something like, you know, Pocket Fighter, which
Pocket Rumble.
Pocket Rumble. Yeah, which, you know, it's just a lot cheaper and is intentionally far simpler a game. But yeah, there's far more depth than that. So yeah,
gotcha. Gotcha.
Cool.
So they don't call you the Nindersect for nothing.
I'm actually really interested about this next game. I've heard a bunch about it, and I would love to hear more.
Chat about this game.
Yeah, I should say I've heard a lot of praise, but I don't really know much about the game at all.
Right.
And that's Victor Vran. So, you know, everybody has heard about Diablo, and certainly they had the big announcement that Diablo is coming to Switch. Everybody's excited about that, rightfully so. Diablo 3, it's a game on PC that I've beaten with all the different characters. I've played multiple seasons. I've probably
Is that the latest one? Is there a Diablo 4?
No,
Diablo but
3.
They've hinted that they're working on another Diablo project. Which is great, because if there was one Blizzard like mainstay that could have went the way of the dodo, it probably would be Diablo.
Well, and if they went by how Diablo 3 was received when it launched, yeah, it didn't look good at first, because they definitely had their issues.
That auction house screwed everything up.
The auction house ruined the game.
Completely.
Because it removed your incentive to grind, which was the entire purpose of the game in the first place.
And it also made the drop, like a good drop, so minuscule because so frustrating. I'm glad they got rid of it though.
Yeah, because no matter what you would pick up in the game, you could buy it cheaper you could buy something better on the auction house.
Yeah, for quick reference.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, for quick reference, like in Diablo 2, you would just make a game that would be like trades, and then people would come and you just sort of show your wares, and people would trade. But a lot of people also sold things on eBay. Like they'd find runes, which were sort of the currency after the SOJ, Stone of Jordan. That was the currency beforehand. So like people would just go on eBay and buy these things. Like, oh, I bought 10 SOJs for I don't even know, $20, $30, however much it was. And then people would just use that as trade bait. So Diablo or Blizzard saw that, and they're like, well, we're just going to make an auction house, and then this way it'll be easier to trade, and people can use real money and sell their stuff if they want.
Are you serious? So you actually you sell stuff for real money?
Yeah, you could.
There were two sides. There was a real money auction house, and there was a in-game auction house.
Yeah, so like I had.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Well, here's the problem though with the auction house. Like in the old like Diablo 2, you'd be able to find items, and you'd be like, oh, this item is amazing. Now I need to try and trade it. So like, it was harder to trade like with people. Like it was a much smaller audience. So it was like you could have a lot of really good items drop, and like there would be no one spot where it'd be flooded. The auction house was flooded with good stuff. So, like, you'd get a lot of, like, oh, here's a two-handed sword with magic and, like, spirit or vitality or whatever. And you'd be like, my sorceress or, you know, whatever, it can't use this weapon, you know? Like, it doesn't have enough strength to be, and, like, they don't use a two-handed sword, you know? So it's like, this is literally garbage. Like, no one will ever use this item. And, like, that's, like, all you would find. Oh, it's terrible. But yeah, they got rid of it.
Back to Victor Vran.
Yeah. So Victor. So yeah, the reason I brought up Diablo is, Victor Vran is a Diablo clone of some kind. And
a Diablo ripoff.
Well, ripoff would be unfair. You know, there are like Victor Vran. It's a different game. Like it takes a lot of the same ideas. And when I did the review for it, I actually think it has more in common with the original Diablo and Diablo 2 than possibly even Diablo 3 does. Because Diablo 3 really veered off into sort of its own direction, and it's a direction I enjoy. But the original Diablo and Diablo 2, there was Diablo 3. You're very godlike in Diablo 3, even though you can die. There's sort of a detachment that I feel when I play the game. That you're very powerful even early on, and you're just sort of grinding through and killing a lot of stuff. The difference is, to me, and I've used this as before, is like so Diablo 3 you feel like a god. With Victor Vran, all the combat, it feels like a street fight. Like it is there's a more visceral quality to it. There's a more dirty, risky, putting your neck on the line kind of quality to the fighting in Victor Vran. It's certainly not as diverse. It's certainly not as there's not as much to it. Like the amount of content in Diablo 3 is staggering. And even if you only played through as one class and ignore the fact that there are the 7. It's just the amount of content is crazy, and you get into rifts and greater rifts and seasons and all this other stuff. There's just tons and tons of stuff in it. Victor Vran is a much more streamlined. There's not nearly as much content as a whole, but it's its own thing. It has its own feel, and it is fun. I like the expansion they include. It's the Overkill edition. They include an expansion that's based. It features the music and people from the group Motorhead, and it's actually got what's the dude's name who's the director, Lloyd Kaufman, who's the director of Troma Films, is sort of your narrator guy that you work through. And
That's funny.
And there will be there's some different weapons, like there's There's a guitar that it's a range weapon that you like riff and like
music notes go out.
it's more like 3 fireballs come out. So and then there's these special sort of shrine areas that suddenly will break into like a motorhead track and just chaos. And so it's a different feel. And then there's actually a third one which was locked. I think it's coming. I think it's part and parcel, but I don't think it's actually available yet. But it's part of the Overkill edition, so you'll have it. So there's a third flavor as well. These are each self-contained games. Like you'd start over with the Motorhead pack, which is fine. And the beginning's very similar. Getting you through the paces. But Motorhead. It's like the original Victor Vran. It's more old England kind of feel. Gothic, and then the Motorhead expansion. Aside from having the Motorhead tunes, it's all Nazis and like weird stuff. It's just
boy,
jumps the shark a little bit.
Well, it's far more silly and fun. It's a different way, but Victor Vran, it's a great holdover for Diablo. I think out of the clones of Diablo, the only one that I consider to be as good is I love Torchlight. Torchlight is probably a much more direct.
I played a little Torchlight.
Yeah, Torchlight's a much more direct clone outright of almost everything Diablo does.
I'm pretty sure the people who developed it had a hand in developing the original Diablo, or maybe Diablo 2.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm pretty sure I remember that.
I mean, because they cribbed almost the exact music. I mean, the original Torchlight in particular, it was like eerily like playing Diablo. It was in Torchlight 2 they varied out a little bit further, and that's another good series I'd love to see come to Switch. There is a new Torchlight game, Torchlight Legends. I don't think they've announced what platforms, but I'm hoping Switch sees it, because I was a fan of that series as well. But yeah, Victor Vran, it's not, don't discount it as being a Diablo clone or lesser. It's different, it's distinct. It does have its merits, and it's a fun distraction, and there's a lot of content. So I was going to say, rather than having different classes outright, you pick up different weapons. So you can play range using shotguns, or my favorite's the lightning gun. That's a lot of fun. But then there's swords. There's a rapier, which I'm not a big fan of. There's a hammer. So the big thing that stands out with its gameplay is every stage you go to, there are like a list of 6 or 7 challenges, and so its objective is to try to get you to switch things up. So you need to kill X number of this type of enemy using melee weapons. Kill this number with a shotgun. There are hexes that affect you negatively and make the game harder. So they'll say, try to clear this dungeon in X amount of time with this hex turned on. So it's
love a good hex.
It has a good challenge system, sort of that encourages you to keep using different skill or using different weapons and playing slightly differently. But yeah, it's neat.
Cool.
I think I gave that an 8.5 also. It's good.
Casey, why don't you get it?
Because I have too many other games.
Yes, we do.
No, that wouldn't. And it's $40 game. That's probably when I'll try and see if maybe a nice sale rolls around at some point. Because I do enjoy those kinds of games. So, I guess real quick, give us the 5-word summary of this game coming out in a few weeks. The Gardens Between.
5
yeah,
word.
which I'll be.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be 5
yes,
words.
Yes, I was going to say, I didn't think about it on the 5-word scale. Since it is pretty far out, I'll keep it brief. But you saw the footage of it if you watched the European Direct. It's a very beautiful game. It starts out with a pretty simple puzzle mechanic. It's about time manipulation, moving forward and backward. The girl in the group, or there's a boy and a girl who are friends, and it's very nostalgia laden. They're going through areas that are obviously tied to shared experiences that they had. She's able to pick up a lantern that you manipulate light in different ways, and then he's able to manipulate. There's different elements in the environment that he can shift sort of between dark and light. You know, these lights or these portions that have a light, they'll turn dark. If he hits this, I guess it's almost like a wind chime. And then there's another type of structure that if he hits it, he can make. So if you move right and left, time is moving forward and backward as you move forward and backward.
Cool.
There's these other spots. It's like a totem that if he hits it, he's able to independently move time forward and backward differently, and it'll affect something in the environment. So it'll assemble or fall apart, and that's independently of you moving. So with these limited sort of mechanics, as it progresses, you have to do more and more creative things, and it doesn't give you a lot of direction. It's expecting you, I think a lot of times it's expecting you to sort of say, well, okay, I'm going to move forward. I stopped. You know, I can't go any further, so I need to do something. Okay, well, there are only two things that I could do anything that affected anything up until the point that I did that. How can I work with those limited number of things to make something different happen? And it gets pretty inventive. At first I was afraid it would be something I was going to blow through, but once it sort of got to a certain point, now I'm actually really impressed. It makes interesting uses of things in the environment that would be different in every case, because these are all different bits of nostalgia. But yeah, it's very interesting. The one thing I'm worried about, you get, for me, I'm getting a very emotional attachment to these characters. You know, there's you know, the nostalgia and the care that they, you know, even in they don't speak, you're just sort of seeing vignettes or them interacting, but you just it gives a sense of impending doom. Like my gamer sense is saying, okay, something bad is coming. Like
oh no,
you're
yeah, this
it.
isn't
You're
gonna
like,
end well.
Yeah, it's just like I like these characters far too much. Games don't let you get away. They don't let you get away with this. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But all the same, yeah, people should be on the lookout for it when it comes out. It's mid-September. Yeah, I'm very impressed with it. It's not just a very beautiful game. I think there's a lot to it.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Now, yeah, I have a couple games here that I'm probably just going to push off till next week because we've been going on.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, so next week I'll have Bad North, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, and a little Madden 19, a little Nintendo for us here. Ooh-wee. Yep, I find
you got Madden
I caved.
19?
Yeah, I haven't bought into Madden in like 3 years probably, and it used to be an annual purchase for me. So I was in Walmart and I was like, and I was like, I can't buy it at Walmart because I don't get 20% off. So then I stopped at Best Buy on the way home.
You big gym bot.
You dirty
Yeah,
dog.
and I will have Flipping Death next week.
And the Dead Cells.
Dead Cells. I'm gonna beat it this week. That's for sure.
But yes, so why don't we take a quick little breather?
Yes.
And then when we come back, you guys know what time it is. Alrighty, we are back. And it is that time, Perry.
Which time?
The eShop Roundup. eHaw.
That time.
Oh, that's right. The thing we do every week.
Yep.
The eShop Roundup.
And we got a whole bunch of games here.
Yep.
As we always
let's do it. A lightning round. We got 15 seconds per game.
All right.
Are you ready for this?
All right, I think I am.
I got the timer.
You start.
And here we go now. Okay. First up, we have Block Sick for $9.99. You better be smart. IQ is in the name. Yeah, this is a cool, colorful little geometric thing.
Yeah, it looks like a virtual a Rubik's Cube kind of weird puzzly game.
Yeah, and there's lots of different puzzles and looks like fun. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
I like
said I'd keep it to one word.
That's right. Okay, we're at 30 seconds now. So
Next
next
up
one,
here.
I like it.
We got Hacky Zack for $8.99.
Hacky Zack.
That's actually down 10% from its normal price, $9.99.
Uh-huh.
This is let's see, bounce, keep it up. Little 2D puzzler. Looks like a little Hacky Zack.
Yeah, platformer.
Boom.
So, yeah, looks fun. Justin?
I love it.
This is awesome. Okay, next up, Shio, the game we talked about. It's $12.99. This game's pretty good, pretty cool. Everything turns to ash in the end, so that's true.
Quick sidebar: I feel like we should edit the jingle, the eShop, to Justin's. eHaw.
All right, Justin, what do you think about Shio?
I'm loving it. Next
That's
up,
awesome.
we have The Low Road for $14.99. Currently 10% off until the 30th, which is the day this releases. $13.49 at the moment. Lie, blackmail, and steal your way down the low road.
Cool looking game. Yeah, cool looking. Looks
Is
like
this
an
a
adventure
little,
game.
little point and
I
click,
like the
maybe, or a little
logo.
adventure game?
I like the logo and I like the color choices. Justin?
Intrigued.
Ooh, all right, we got.
Our first word.
He can speak.
Now, next up, we have My Farm
Oh,
for
no.
$9.99. By the way, we're sticking to 30 seconds apiece. My Farm, amazing breeding simulation game. Ooh. You got pigs. You got chickens. It's a farming type game.
You got some
Oh,
cows.
it's called My Farm 2018. Justin, what do you think?
Shovelware.
Shovelware, we got it.
Next up, we have Behind the Screen for $9.99. Are the news being spread in the world true? That's their writing, not mine. All right, what do we got? Another puzzle adventure game here.
I see you punch a guy and a rainbow comes out of his face.
This looks. There's just like
this is amazing.
There's like a puzzle of sleeping children.
Yes.
In their sleeping bags.
This looks amazing. Justin, have you played this?
Yes, I reviewed it.
And?
Whacked.
Whacked. Nope, leave it at whacked.
Honestly, that's exactly like what I would expect. This game looks like very strange.
No.
It is. Yeah, it is.
The next game has Diddy Kong in it. Toy Stunt Bike
no.
Tip Tops Trials.
This game.
You know, actually, some of the screenshots don't look that bad.
It looks like
Justin, have you
Urban
played this
Trials,
game?
but you've got a monkey with a top hat on instead.
It's Diddy Kong.
And you're like going around the house. Like the one is like you're on the little night, your end table, jumping your way
I
to
like
the
the
TV.
one going onto the charcoal grill. That's it.
Let's get
Justin,
the
what do you
expert
think?
opinion, though.
Nah.
Nah. All right. But it is a week.
Thank goodness.
Neo Geo Crossed Swords has come out. This game looks cool.
This game looks sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, I like the one with the guy holding the sword to the woman's throat.
But she's like grabbing onto the sword with her hands, like,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it looks
This
like
game looks
a
awesome.
over
Is
the
it Punch-Out?
shoulder hack and slash, maybe?
It's a realistic battle RPG. Looks sweet.
Yeah,
Justin?
it looks super cool.
I mean, retro. I played it when it was in the arcade. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Gotcha. All right. Not great, not bad. Next up, Justin, why don't you take this next one? Yeah.
I'm going to them as you go. I'm not in the order you guys are in. So.
Okay,
Alright.
good.
Ferns
Then, you know what? I
Gate.
like your one word. So, Ferns Gate, yeah, from Chemco. for
$12.99.
So this is a Chemco RPG. We don't really have to say anything
It's got
after
DLC.
that. It's just I have a little sister about her age, and that's the.
You've got a little sister?
Justin, what do you think about Ferns Gate?
He's taking a nap.
I like it. Gotcha. Now, the best game that Justin has ever had. Flood of Light for $4.99. Justin, have you played this game?
Nope. Nope.
Kind of looks cool.
It's a puzzle game with beautiful arts and wonderful music, apparently.
Yeah. This looks amazing. I mean, not amazing. I mean, yeah, it looks cool. Like, the art looks really nice.
All right.
$4.99.
Next
Justin?
up here. Oh, I forgot. Excuse me.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Next up here, we've got Kero Blaster. We've talked about this game now a little bit. $9.99 there. Yeah, I mean, I think we've pretty much talked about it. From the guy who brought you Cave Story, so.
Yes. Love this game. Justin, what do you say?
Tasty.
Tasty. I agree. All right, next up, Sky Gamblers Storm Raiders for $9.99. It's an epic scale historic WW1 dogfight game. And the
looks sort of cool.
The pictures definitely aren't.
Yeah, in game, I would imagine.
Which is not fair. It's $9.99. Justin, what do you say?
Have you played it?
Nah.
Gotcha. Well, we are coming up to a game that we did play before, which is what, Casey?
Earthworms for $7.99.
Right.
Now, let me recap Justin's thoughts on this one. X-Files weirdness meets subpar adventure.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, it looks intriguing, and I kind of dig the logo. And there's a demo. And Justin says...
No.
No.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah, nah.
It is what it is.
I like that. No. It's just... nah. Okay, next up we have 34% off at $9.89. Space Ribbon.
Ribbon?
Which they peg it as a racing sports arcade action game.
I like the one screenshot is like the track going into a tiger's mouth.
And the next one is
Panda.
the panda is very just eating it, you know.
I'm coming for you, Perry.
Justin, you have this game?
No. It looks too much like some of the old stuff I reviewed when I was doing Shield tablet reviews, and those never ended well.
If your sentence starts off with that.
I think we have a new nickname for Justin, and that's Justin Shield Tablet Review Nation.
Yeah, you should forget the Switch.
Yeah.
Go back to the bread and butter.
But speaking of going back to the bread and butter, we have the game that technically should not be out, and that is Night Trap 25th Anniversary Edition. For $14.99, you'll get caught in the night. Night Trap.
Did you play this one back in the day, Justin?
No.
Too risque.
And what's your one word?
Why?
Yep, me too.
Next up here we have Little Dragon's Cafe for $59.99. Now
this is a full game?
Yeah, this is
is this retail?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get it physical.
Oh,
David
wow.
wrote the review for the site, and I know he really enjoyed it.
Yeah, look at that art style.
I'm pretty sure he said it started off a little slow, maybe, but then it opens up, and yeah, no, the art style looks really cool. Definitely, there is a video review on Nintendo World Report TV if you want to check that out.
And Justin, have you played it?
Nope.
All right, what do you say?
Pricey.
Yep. Me too. All right, we're doing pretty good here. We're at 9 minutes. And
we're rocking and
seconds.
we're rolling.
So next up we have Da Blob 2
Da
for
Blob.
$29.99. It's actually, and this is the first time it's on a Nintendo console because it wasn't on Wii U. Yeah, Justin says he's excited for it.
Yeah, psyched is the word. Yeah, I loved the first one.
I've never played a Da Blob game.
Yeah, me neither. We should try it, Case.
Yeah, it's pretty light and the original at least was pretty light and fun stuff. So excited to see what they do with the sequel.
Gotcha. Well, next up we have The Walking Dead, the Telltale series, the complete first season. Yeah, $24.99. I got really high recommendations from John Barlow, listener. He really wants me to play this, so he says it's amazing. And Justin, have you played it?
Seasons 1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah.
I played a bit of season
scary.
1 on PS Vita. because yeah, the whole hubbub of the Telltale games, and I remember enjoying it. I just never got around to. I guess at that point it was probably the first full season.
You know, it's such an interesting concept to have these on handheld games, like, because it's such a big screen type thing. Like, I don't want to play this on my projector.
Yeah, but well, the way
graphically they're pretty simple.
Yeah, I was gonna say
be fine handheld.
Yeah, but they're so.
It's a cinematic experience.
Yeah. You know. So,
I get where you're coming from, but
anyway,
season 1 is absolutely worth playing. From that point, not so much. Season 2 is a real letdown after season 1.
Oh, okay.
Well, there you go. Play season 1 and you'll be done, Perry.
One and done.
Next up here, we've got a game we just talked about, Victor Vran.
With Justin Nation on the cover.
Overkill Edition. $39.99. Yeah,
they just took a picture of Justin.
It does look like Justin.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I've seen him in real life.
They had to,
it's a carbon copy.
They had to tone down the guns a little bit too much. It probably would have gotten an M rating. Oh wait, it already got an M rating. Never mind.
Definitely, they got the leather pants right. Yeah, definitely.
The assless chaps.
You know, looking at the pictures, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, it looks like a pretty nice looking game. So I'm not impressed with Justin's cover, but that's okay. Nothing to do with Justin, but okay. Justin, what do you say?
It's better than just being a Diablo clone. It's better than that. It's a good game.
Good game. All right, and another one that we just talked about, Blade Strangers, for the same price of $39.99, featuring lots of your indie fighters.
Your indie favorites.
Indie favorites like Curly.
And now this next game right here.
Justin, what do you say? Blade Strangers.
It's newbie friendly. It's a good game.
Giddy up.
Boosh. Now, this next game announced and dropped today, and that is Into the Breach for $14.99.
Oh, it's a strategy RPG.
But it's on like a small scale.
Yeah, so I have this downloaded, and I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, no, it looks super cool.
It looks awesome. Yeah. Excited to dive into this.
I'm looking forward to hearing about it, because this would be one if like I didn't have anything going on, I probably would have snagged it up.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it, and it's by the people who made Faster and Lighter FTL, which was brutally hard. But so I imagine this is difficult, but yeah, it's supposed to be very good.
Gotcha.
And rounding us out,
least,
what do we got, Perry?
What do we got? Oh. We have Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for $59.99 and a downloadable demo.
Boom! Yes.
And the screenshots look fantastic.
Well, it's so funny. David and I were playing, and you can see that on YouTube too if you want to see some poor Monster Hunter play.
Some Jimothy Bronin.
Yes.
Brony?
But it's funny because he's like, man, this game looks like a PS2 game. And I'm like, oh man, this looks great, because I'm used to, you know, because playing it on the 3DS, like, it is a graphical update. Like, it looks nice. I mean, it does have that sort of dated feel to it, but it's just funny coming in like from the 3DS. I'm thinking like, oh baby, this looks great. Where he was like, all right,
this is crap. This is a big bowl of crap.
Why'd I agree to play this game?
Justin, you ever played Monster Hunter?
No, and it always seemed to be there just seemed to be too much to it. Like, you know, even people that love it, you'd hear them describe it, and it's just like, I just don't think I have the energy for that.
It is absolutely a game you're going to have to put a lot of time into, you know, and then it's one of those, like, oh, you sort of, I mean, there's not much story, really, you know, but, like, oh, you've done, like, that part of the game, and then it's like, all right, now it's time to like, the G ranks and like all these crazy difficult monsters, and then it's like farming them to get gear to get better. Like, oh, this guy's has fire, I need to get fire resistant gear, you know. So it's like it's got a lot of like it feels like an MMO on like a smaller scale, like, because obviously you can only have 4 players with you max, but it's got that like grindy crafting and all that. But it's fun. It's like you said, it's definitely for a certain particular player, you know.
Right. But we just did a very, very good eShop Roundup with Justin, which I didn't think would. I thought Justin would be
hold
like,
the phone.
let me tell you the 5 reasons why you should play and the 5 reasons why you shouldn't.
Well, we didn't get the one-word verdict on Monster Hunter.
Let him work.
Complicated. Yeah.
I like it.
Awesome. Well, let's. So if we're done with the eShop, then does that mean it's time for what I think it is?
I think so.
News Talk with Casey Gibson.
Alrighty, and it is again that time of the week. It is the news block. Now, mostly what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some news bits that came out over the week, including some NPD numbers, everyone's favorite. And then we're just going to sort of roll it into the topic of the show, which is the Nindie Spotlight for PAX that was just done earlier today. We sort of have a nice rough draft here of all the games that were talked about, and we'll sort of go through that and give our 2 cents on them. But to start us off here, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Special Edition announced, and it will include the game, a nice steel case, which it will still be determined. I have a feeling it'll be the only case, because if you got Xenoblade 2 Chronicles, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the steel case, it didn't actually come with a regular case, just the steel case. So I have a feeling it'll be similar.
Gotcha.
So you get the steel case, and you get a very cool-looking Smash Pro controller. It's got the white handles, and then it's got like
white handles.
Yeah, like the Smash logo in white over the gray, charcoaly gray of the Pro controller.
Can they just give me my neon yellow Pro controller, please? Well, with a decent D-pad to boot.
And I don't get the white because the handles, isn't it going to look dirty? It's kind of like when I saw that, it was like, why?
You know what? And Nintendo's probably to me, no one's going to play with this thing anyway. They're just going to use their GameCube controller.
Yeah, I know. That is kind of cool, right?
Because to me, the Smash logo that looks cool that I always think of, especially because of the promos, with that great shot of the one squiddling with the
in the eye,
the symbol in her eye, the red. Like, why they wouldn't go with red, I don't know. That was a weird.
Yeah, you could have literally.
What part of Smash Bros. Ultimate do you think black and white?
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have literally have just made the burning color and then made the handles that same burning color. Because if you look at the steel case, they do that. It's like the flame. It's the Smash logo in like the flames. But yeah, it's sort of strange that I think the controller definitely looks sharp. But like you said, yeah, it's gonna be dirty, or get dirty, and yeah, I guess it's sort of simplistic for what they could have done.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna retail at $139.99. So
my goodness, and it's even more expensive than just buying a Pro controller.
Well, you get that steel case, bruh.
Good. Well, thank you.
Now,
anyway,
this next bit, it actually flew under the radar, and now I've been crazy busy last couple weeks, so it's like, I guess, maybe other people saw, but Saints Row the Third will be coming to the Switch, including the DLC.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's one of those. I've never played a Saints Row game.
Aren't they like insane?
Yeah, they're pretty whack. 3, I played it for a bit. It's a lot like Grand Theft Auto. In a lot of respects, but just even more nuts. Like the only standout thing that I remember was like a mode or a sequence where I was in control of a tank, just blowing stuff up. And it just it's just a whacked game from what I remember.
Yeah, isn't it sort of like GTA on crack? Like, yeah, it's like instead of trying to be more realistic. I mean, not that GTA is really that realistic, but. Yeah.
No, this is like the Gonzo version more so. Oh, and different than what's the other one? Just Cause is the other one that's also sort of crazy, but not involving a grappling hook and grabbing planes or anything like that. More grounded.
Yeah, no, that should be interesting. A nice open world city shooter, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Now, next up here, we've got some NPD numbers. I'm just gonna, unless if one of you two gentlemen would like to read down that list for us.
I'll do it. Octopath at 1. What does that mean?
It's the top selling game of July.
It's got the goodness.
So why wouldn't you put that last?
Because I was going down the list.
He has no sense of He has no sense of suspense.
Well, maybe if you read it correctly, Perry. What are you talking about? I've got it 10-1 right there. You're just a big old gym bot who doesn't know how to read.
Okay. You know what? Forget I just said that, okay? Let's just start from 10. Aces is at number 10. And Mario Odyssey is at number 7. Breath of the Wild is at number 5. Mario Kart 8 is at number 3. We don't know what's at number 2. And, but at number 1, Justin, can you guess what it is?
Victor Vran. No, yeah.
I was trying
Victor
to think.
Vran.
I was trying to think of that game. Senran
Kagura.
Reflections.
The pervs have spoken.
Yeah. Now, what's impressive is that does not include digital sales from Nintendo, and Octopath still, snagged number 1. So presumably all those games have sold even better, so that's promising, especially when you look at how many Switches were sold in the month, 263,000, and the next closest was the PS4 at 187,000. So pretty big gap.
We smoked them.
Not quite 100K, but pretty darn close. Nintendo got to be pretty happy.
Interesting that Breath of the Wild is outpacing Odyssey. I thought total sales Odyssey was doing, on average, better than Breath of the Wild.
I think it is.
I think this is just for the month of July. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just weird that what caused the resurgence for it to shift the averages a little bit to Breath of the Wild this month.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe all those people who got in late were like, well, I'm gonna pick up Odyssey and whatever, and play that, and then. Now they're sort of like, hey, jump back into Breath of the Wild. But, yeah, you are right. I know Odyssey's been selling like hotcakes.
And then, even crazier, the 3DS sold 84,000.
Woo!
Who doesn't have a 3DS?
Hey, I tell you what, that's pretty good for considering. I mean, it's still chugging along.
There's a lot of people I know who have a lot of them.
Yeah, I used to, yeah.
Them, like me.
I used to have, I still have...
I
got 2 now. No, I got 3.
I probably have 10.
I've got my...
I have none.
Did you say none?
I probably have 10 of them.
None.
Dude!
I gave the 3DS XL I had to my oldest daughter like a year ago. Yeah, I'm 100% Switch. I don't...
And then,
but how are you going to play Luigi's Mansion?
Yeah. though it did pain me not be able to get WarioWare Gold. Like that.
Oh,
I love WarioWare.
Just take it back. Give me that 3DS. It's mine.
Yeah, seriously. I'm your dad.
Yeah, you're grounded. You leave that 3DS out in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But
or you just get that. You get that for your wife for her birthday or something. It's WarioWare Gold.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what? We're gonna need a 3DS to play this.
Yeah.
God darn it.
Well, I'll be dipped. Now, this next bit of news here is exciting news, especially for a man named Perry Jerkham.
That's right. Because, finally, even though Fabian and Neb and Edgar have teased it many times on the podcast, but the level editor is coming for sure for the PC version, and they keep saying, and most likely to the Switch. Now, I understand why, because, an editor... I don't know how they're going to do it on the Switch. That's going to be interesting.
I was wondering if maybe it was more of a distribution thing with, like, online and stuff.
Well,
maybe being more tricky. Like,
I'm sure that's part of it,
because that's why,
yeah.
like, if they said most likely, like, I would think it's probably running on the Switch, and maybe they're just trying to make it elegant way of sharing, Because it's not like Slime Son had online play, so it's, they didn't have to really do any of that originally. But yeah, I don't know. I have not talked to those fellows in too long. Dang it.
We could probably ask them.
Yeah, probably.
It might just be a good idea. anyway, but that's really fun. That's something I thought I've always wanted, and I saw that you'll be able to make like 4-level like worlds. You know?
Yeah, that's the best.
To tie them together. Awesome, so cool. So anyway, look forward to that. Hopefully on Switch.
Now,
but
it's time to
we're done with the news.
Shifts
but
gear.
It's kind of, yeah, we're gonna switch to the other part of the news, which is going to be our topic of the show, which we're going to have to go through lightning speed.
Well, we must say thank you to Justin for filling out the doc here. Because I actually got to watch the presentation on lunch, but I was watching on my phone and I didn't have like a pen or paper, so it's just taking screenshots of like at the end when they're like, this game's coming out this date. So I've got a whole bunch of screenshots, and then I came home and it was already done for me.
Man,
thank you.
Crazy. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Justin.
Yeah, well, it was my list of who I need to try to solicit to make sure I can pick up a lot of this stuff. So
yeah, there you go. And you just copy and pasted. So, so we had a Nindie Spotlight video.
Woo!
And it had a lot of funny narration and I think you even know some of those people, right, Justin?
Well, I at PAX I met Kirk Scott, so yeah, I was thrilled when I saw him delivering the entire presentation.
I think he did a great job too.
He's a really cool guy,
and
he's a really great guy. Very passionate about the indie space, and just little bits and pieces about the sort of the uphill battle he had trying to convince, the home side of Nintendo about the value and the importance of having a vital indie connection and community. And it's definitely panned out well for them. And hopefully Nintendo doesn't end up being like Sony and Microsoft, where once they get to a certain level of success, they then sort of abandon the indie side, because the indies on Switch are part of what makes the console what it is. I mean, it's incredible.
Oh yeah.
How many games and it is a grind, and it is a lot of work to try to keep up with all this stuff week in, week out, but it's a great time to own a Switch. I mean, it's just, there's so many great games coming out.
Yeah, I know Sony was a big component of the indies when PS4 launched and stuff, because they were coming in as the underdogs this generation, to the Xbox and Microsoft. So yeah, they sort of, we've got our spot in the driver's seat now, and they sort of let the indies. I mean, they're still bringing indies out, of course, but yeah, they're not giving that love and attention that Nintendo seems to be doing, and hopefully we can continue it, because like you said, it's this year, between big launches of, where on the Wii U it'd be like, okay, when is the Nintendo, big game coming out? Oh, we got 3 months, like, maybe there'll be a couple decent games, maybe. And now it's literally every week I go through and I'm like, I'd like to check that game out. I definitely got to play that game, and it's just like, it's overwhelming, really. But like you said, it's a good problem to have.
Yep.
But I guess to start us off here, we'll just go down the list, and we'll just sort of speak on each game as we go. So to start us off here, they came out swinging with Hyper Light Drifter, and we got a release date of September 6th, which is nice and close.
Awesome.
Now, this is a game I've heard a lot about. Really, really high praise. Like, people love this game, so I know a lot of people were excited for when it was coming to Switch, and I guess it takes inspiration from Zelda and a few other areas, and sort of really makes like a fantastic adventure. So I'm super excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Justin, you played it?
No, it's one of those that
interesting.
I saw on PC side a lot, and saw a lot of love for it. I just never was able to get to it.
Yep.
But my understanding is that Neurovoider, which came out from Tiny Build, that was a reasonably good game, pretty early in the Switch lineup, and I had some good things to say about it, and I got a lot of feedback from folks saying, well, the reason you like it is because it's pretty much a blatant ripoff of Hyper Light Drifter. So I enjoyed Neurovoider, so I imagine if it was inspired heavily by Hyperlight Drifter, I imagine I'll like it too.
Cool.
I've heard it's pretty tough though. I've heard it's tough.
Yeah, me too. Have you played this next game, Towerfall?
No, another one I've heard a lot of praise for.
This is from the Celeste guys. This is the game before, which you can actually play as
Celeste.
Adeline? Madeline?
Oh yeah, Madeline and Badeline.
And Badeline,
Dark Battle, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's on September 27th. That looks great. I'll be looking forward.
Yeah,
to that.
that's like a
that'll be a game we can play.
Like a fighting game,
Crazy
to six players, up to 6 players. Cool pixel art graphics. This is another game. Just always hearing people talk about Towerfall, like, oh, it would be perfect for the Switch, and I guess in just under a month we'll see how she stacks up. But speaking
of stacks,
boom,
that was great, Case. That was awesome. Yeah, this next game looks awesome.
Yes,
Treasure Stack.
It does.
It's like a platformer cross puzzle like block drop game, you know?
Yeah, it looks
which
really
I thought
cool.
looks really cute. Like it looks like Zelda, if I remember right. They're like Zelda chests, you know, like kind of falling and.
Yeah, no, and like you said, it's like the falling block game, but you have a character out there and you're platforming, and I'm pretty sure I saw a grapple. You can grapple down blocks and stuff.
Love me a good grapple.
What's that?
Love me a good grapple.
You sure do, you pervert. And then you got keys and chests, and yeah, it looks really cool. I'm definitely. Did we get a date on that one?
No, they just said
winter. Okay, so that's going to be one I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for. And like I feel like a game that probably would have fallen into that like just massive games. So it's cool to see Nintendo giving it a little spotlight.
Well, and it sounded like they were saying that it's going to support cross-platform online play as well. So that might make it a worthwhile thing on top of everything else.
Yes. Now this next game, Zarvat. What is this game? I can't remember.
Yeah, it to me, and I stopped making notes sort of in the middle of it. To me, it looks like a 3D version of a game that I recently reviewed called Flat Heroes. It's not exactly like that by any means, but it looks like
with the cubes, right?
Yeah, and it's very cute looking, and you can fire guns and lasers and stuff. There are platforms and walls that you can look like you can destroy. But it looks like there's both a competitive and a cooperative component to it as well. So I mean, like I said, to me that reminds me a lot of Flat Heroes, which I love that game. So that's a real positive if it's sort of hitting that same beat for me. It looks sort of cute, but looks like it'll be interesting.
Cool.
Speaking of cute, this next game, Meneko's Night Mart, I believe I said that right. Minikios.
Right,
yeah, it's a cute little game about running a shop at night. You got to get your little mart, and it's got a lot of kittens, little cats. This was one I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to play this game, but it grabbed my attention enough that I am definitely interested, like to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, it looks very interesting.
I think it's going to connect very well with the Stardew Valley kind of demographic. It looks like it has that same kind of vibe to it, of just being very. Looked like there are different events and different things mini games that you engage in over time while the story advances, and then the abundance of kittens and cats. Certainly, there will be people that instantly are drawn to that.
Like Casey.
Meow.
Now, this next one looked really cool. Samurai Gun 2. It's a platformer, and it kind of reminded me of that other platformer game that was released, Tiny Barbarian DX. That I
the graphics definitely the very small scale of it reminds me of that.
And how the character is the same size as the blocks and everything is kind of made.
And that's a co-op game too, right? You play with a friend.
Cool. Or, I don't know, is that? I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure they mentioned that.
Maybe. Okay, maybe.
I guess I could be wrong.
Awesome.
I remember... Or, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I remember that.
That's
but
okay. Looks awesome. Early 2019.
Boom.
But, what do we got next, Justin?
Next one was Bullet Age, which is actually a game that I don't know if you guys saw it at PAX. It was at PAX in the the indie section that changed over mid-show. They were one of those that were set up there for I think only 2 days, and I got to play a bit of it and talk to the developer. At the time, like the art is really, it looks really great, and it's meant to be a co-op kind of thing, mixture of slashing and guns. Some challenge to it because you have limited ammo and you have to sort of work together with some interesting bosses. At the time that I played it at PAX, it was still pretty early, so I only got an impression of it, but it definitely looked like one of those things that it has all the pieces that it could be really successful. It'll just be a matter of how well they execute it.
Mm. Now this next game,
but it looks great.
Yeah, it looks like
that's November, they were saying, and I think it's Nintendo exclusive for now.
Gotcha.
Next up here,
we have
The World Next Door. Now, this is like a weird sort of puzzle game that you battle a battle puzzle game. Like you got a grid, and I don't exactly know how you match it up. It sort of was just going, but yeah, it looks interesting. So I like the idea of taking a puzzle game and sort of just making it into sort of a competitive fighter. The World Next Door is a narrative-driven action-adventure game.
Yeah, I had a hard time making out exactly how it worked.
But yeah, it seemed...
It was weird.
Yeah, what they were doing in the video, it didn't really lend you to any idea what it could be, exactly how it works, but looks interesting nevertheless.
Yeah.
Cool. And next up, after that, we had Levelhead. This is a level maker platformer co-op.
Seems up Perry's alley.
I do like making levels.
It actually had.
It seemed to be an answer from the indies to make up for the fact that Mario Maker isn't there yet. That's the impression I got looking at it. I'd played a game from Butterscotch Shenanigans before on the tablet. They seem to make pretty decent games, so based on my experience with that, I'm interested to see what it is, even though usually making levels isn't it's one of those novelty things that I'll kick around just to say, oh, that's pretty interesting, but I don't tend to stick with it. But yeah, the platforming looked pretty fun, and they do have they're a studio that has a pretty good sense of humor. So I'm hoping that'll be infused into the game in some way to help make it fun.
Yeah, the trailer is pretty funny, and what's cool is you can actually all join in at the same time. You can have 4 people creating a level at one time, which is sort of cool.
Very cool.
Now, I like the name of this game, King of the Hat. Now, yeah, this is a weird party game. Again, it sort of had a funny vibe to it. It was the one character's name's Birthday, or Birthday Hat, and it's his birthday all the time. And it's and you can also play as a washer, that cleans all of the birthday hats. And it's okay.
It's such a fantastic premise and name. I love it.
Yeah, it's
King of the Hat.
Yeah, it just seems silly, but in a good way,
And I hope that there's some King of the Hill references.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Bobby.
That would be amazing. But yeah, cute pixel, the graphics. In a world where everyone has a hat. That sounds like a world I want to live in. Even though I don't really wear hats. But, next up, what do we have?
We have Untitled the Goose Game.
Gotcha.
Now, you can ruin people's day if you want. It's I guess it's just you play as a duck and you go around you're in the store chasing people around. There's one where someone had their lunch on a bench, and like you could go over and you like snag the sandwich, and you run away, and like it seems
sounds like a Casey Gibson simulation game.
Like
it really looks like a jerk simulator. Like that's
what I mean. Yeah,
it looks funny. It really looks. It reminds me of was it Mom Took My Game? It came out a while ago. As far as just being thoroughly strange and just completely different, like that. It looked like a fun kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
I just love
the one instance here. You got the goose is.
Dude, I can't wait for this
sneaking through the shrubs, and there's a guy like a gardener, and he takes his hat off to wipe his brow, and then you pop out of there, scare him, and then grab his hat and run away.
Dude, this game looks amazing. Seriously,
too funny.
I'm all about this game because geese are silly.
Oh yeah,
they're mean bastards too.
Yes.
Jeez.
Next up, what's our next game that we had?
Next one was Desert Child. Next, it went in sort of the speed round.
Oh, that's right.
More so.
Yeah, I showed all these.
Desert Child yes. is one that they've shown footage for, or I've seen bits of footage for before. They said it's going to be in December. It looks really cool.
Yes.
It's hard to say what exactly it is though.
It's like a side-scrolling, and I know there's RPG elements, and I've talked with the guy that made this game, because when it first showcased, I emailed him, and I was like, hey, like, is this coming to Switch? And he said that we're trying to get it to come, and so hopefully, his name's Oscar, hopefully we have him on the show soon, but this game looks so sweet.
Yeah, it looks like it, on the website here, action, racing, role-playing simulation, so it seems like it might just be sort of a whole bunch of stuff going on. But yeah, I like the visual style.
And hopefully then not the, jack of all trades, master of none, where you hit that. Hopefully it doesn't fall into that.
Right, exactly. But also, Wasteland 2, so I know I've seen this game. What is this game? What kind of game is it?
It's really what the original Fallout games were. It's in, like, before 3, where they went to the 3D open world. Fallout 2, it's really an extension of that. So it's an RPG in that same vein, post-apocalyptic future kind of deal. I've heard great, and I've never actually played the games, but I've heard great things about it. And I signed up to get a code for it. It looks like something I really want to check out, because I played the original Fallout 2 some. And it's so different from I got into it with 3, so it's a very different experience. But
gotcha.
It has a weird sense of humor, and it's tough. But yeah, it could be a lot of fun, and definitely not something that I think the Switch currently has at all. So that makes it
hits in a nice genre there. Next up, this game, Bastion, comes out September 13th, and it looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Bastion's a really good. I finished that on PC.
It's a good one?
Love that game. Yeah. The thing that's really cool about it, it's an action RPG, but it's one of the first ones that and it's become more of a trend where you have sort of the narrator who is talking about the things that you're doing, which creates some interesting situations. Like it's an interesting experience, and there's some cool things going on. And it's a good action RPG below all that. Yeah, I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, the visuals are incredible.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah.
All right, well, we don't have to go through the messenger.
Yeah, it's sort of, from this point on, it just was like rapid fire. Yeah. Like, these are games we know
about. Undertale, we talked about that coming September 18th. Jackbox Party Pack, though.
In October.
Big fan of Jackbox games.
Transistor. That's a game I've heard a bunch about as well, but
that's by the same people that made Bastion. Yep. I played quite a bit of it. I think there's a lot of people that love Transistor a lot more than they like Bastion. I ended up being sort of on the other side, and I know some other people in the same camp where I played the first few hours of Transistor, and it just really didn't hook me, and then something else came along, so I didn't go any further. But for the people who stuck with it, there is a point that it sounds like where it gets a lot cooler. Like I said, the people who stuck with it, they really love it. I know a couple people think it's
cool.
One of the best games they've
played.
Very
cool looking game. So
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Boom. Yep. Then we got a Dragon Marked for Death from Nindie Creates, December 13th.
Played it. It's fun.
So we got a date for that. Light Fingers? I thought it was Little Fingers.
No, Light
Is
Fingers.
it Light Fingers?
Light Fingers.
Okay.
You would think it is.
For some reason, Little Fingers. That comes out September 20th.
I could have sworn it was chicken fingers.
Oh, I'm hungry.
I am super hungry, actually.
And that
sounds
whole,
amazing.
That whole diorama kind of thing that Light Fingers does visually looks incredible. It really looks cool. I'm hoping it can
pan out.
Connect and be fun.
Well, you won't have to wait too much longer to find out.
Nope.
No.
I don't actually remember this one. Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery EP?
What's this one, Justin?
I think it's there was a game called Two Brothers. I think it's in that same vein. It's a it looks familiar, but it's not one of the games. It's not a game I've played. But yeah, to me it reminds me of the Two Brothers game. So it feels like it's some extension of that.
Cool.
But yeah, I didn't really get much more information on that.
Ooh, I dig the graphics. Very cool.
And then at this point in the direct, and they're like, all right, thank you, everybody. And then of course that, oh, wait, one more thing. And that was Into the Breach, which, again, we talked a little bit about before. Cool looking, sort of like strategy RPG, but on a smaller scale. Looks really cool. And Perry will have comments on that next week, I'm sure.
That's right.
But to wrap it up, they actually introduced that there will be an Indie Switch channel that you can follow on the Switch. So that's pretty cool to get, I guess, the latest and greatest news.
And they hired Justin to run
Justin Nation's Switch channel.
It wasn't on there. It wasn't available yet. I checked. I instantly went and checked, and I checked again a few hours ago. It's not there yet. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what ends up on there.
Coming with Switch Online.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But that's cool, man, and that's a lot of, and I really think that we've set a new record for how many games we've talked about on this podcast. It's amazing. I can't believe it.
Every week, there's like just a bajillion new games to talk about.
I know, but all these look really interesting and awesome. So it's so cool that I have such a cool, diverse lineup of games. So it's a lot of fun.
And what's nice is a lot of them are coming out soon, or not too far off. So a lot of these will be playing within the next month or so, and then most of them. I mean, there were a couple 2019s, but a bunch of them coming out this year. So just gonna keep on keeping that train going.
And I already have a huge backlog.
I don't want any more games. Dang it.
Yes. I want the days of the Wii U.
Insane.
Anyway.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
No, I don't. Although
something in between would be nice.
Yeah, we need a sleddy.
Isn't that funny?
Give us like
too many games.
5 to 6 games every week. That instead of like 30.
Yeah, could probably take off the.
But yeah.
The shovelware, but that's okay. But anyway. Wow, what a long podcast. Well, maybe, because I might have lost that first segment.
We might have lost a little bit of Perry in the beginning, but...
Yeah, but I'll just edit myself out, so it's still going to be long. But, yeah. Justin, thank you for coming on, man. It's always fun to have you on.
Yeah, no, it's always good to have your expertise in the indie field, especially around these indie directs.
See, it's awesome, because you play so many games, so you have this perspective that a lot of people don't have, where I can literally text you, be like, hey, what about this game? And then you give me your one-word
like 2
responses.
seconds later, yeah.
Or, sucks.
Taste?
Yes, but it's a great resource. And so you have your own thing going at Nindie Spotlight, and your website is nindiespotlight.com, is that?
Yep.
That's right. Nindie.
And Twitter's Nindie Spotlight. And
YouTube as well, right?
And boom. Yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
Which
Justin does a great job of uploading tons of gameplay videos. So
straight gameplay that I use all the time. I just used it for my Morphe review today, and it's really nice because I honestly, Justin puts up a lot of. I mean, when I'm searching for raw gameplay, a lot of times Justin's the only one like that has stuff. So really cool with Nindie Spotlight. He's a very busy man. I honestly don't know how he does it. I don't know how he sleeps and does what he...
He doesn't sleep.
Like, forget the job. Like, I'm just going to assume that he doesn't do anything for his job. No, it's unbelievable the amount of work that he does. So, it's pretty cool. So, and he also is a really good help at NWR. So, yes, thank you so much for coming on. But we have to end this episode.
Yes, we do.
So I'm gonna let you end it.
Alrighty. Well, again, thank you, Justin, for stopping by. I guess thank you to Perry, making your normal time at a Dead Cells or whatever. But no.
Oh, anytime.
Of course, we are over on Talk Nintendo POD on Twitter. What is that, Perry? I know. I was throwing you for a loop there. That's Talk Nintendo
POD.
Boom. And of course, check out Justin Nindie Spotlight all over the place. Great follow, and you guys should definitely do that. But until next time, we will see you then.
See you later. I'm gonna be Dead Cells. Bye-bye. This is crap. This is a big bowl of crap.
Why'd I agree to play this game?
The pervs have spoken.
Yeah, but I made a vow that in life that if I will not be scared of a goose, and if a goose comes up to me, and I'm not doing anything to taunt it, it just comes up because it's a jerk. I'm gonna kick it right in the face.
And I'm calling.
I don't know if I would.
Yeah, he'd get his friends.
No, I'm gonna do it. I'm taking that goose down. No, I'm not gonna let. I'm not gonna let a goose control me. I've decided this in my life. Yep. I'll make sure it's videotaped, don't worry. And, I would never hurt a goose.
Sure, buddy.
I would never hurt
Here's Perry
a goose.
kicking the goose. And here's Perry running.
Yeah.
Running and screaming.
No matter what,
It'll be Tuesday night. I'm like, man, where's Perry? We gotta record. Jill, he's in the hospital.
Dude, I have strong thighs. I'll kick that thing.
Dude,
I'll invert that beat.
You don't think those geese can fly up like 1.5 feet, 2 feet, and peck your eyes out?
Peck? No, their stupid beaks are too big to peck my eyes out.
You're talking a big game. That goose is gonna come get you.
They can probably bite my nose, but then I'll grab him by the neck and throw it. No, I'll take it by the neck with both hands. Well, let's move on. I don't want PETA to get.
You sound really angry.
I'm just talking
goose
about
violence. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, silly goose.
You get that steel case, bruh.